Offensive rebound, LaMelo.
On February 15, 2023, LaMelo Ball became the second youngest player in NBA history to reach 1,000 points, 1,000 assists, and 1,000 rebounds. Only LeBron James had done it faster. The year before, he was a 20-year-old all-star, turning NBA games into pickup runs. He could score from anywhere, he had eyes in the back of his head, and for a moment, it looked like Charlotte finally had something they basically never had, a real franchise player. And then, the conversation completely flipped. After a string of injuries and some catastrophically bad front office moves, LaMelo drops a 50-point game that season, and nobody cares. Instead, the narrative becomes he's a stat patter, he doesn't impact winning, and guys don't even want to play with him. We've heard about a lottery prospect refusing to work out for Charlotte because he didn't want to play with LaMelo, and Paul George literally said, "I'm not picking Charlotte. I'm not going. Like, my career is over if I go there." So what's real here? Has LaMelo been exposed, or has the media lied to us? Or is he just the latest star trapped in the NBA's most cursed franchise? Today, we're breaking down the Charlotte Hornets in the LaMelo era. Why a team with talent, a young star, and real offensive firepower still can't win anything. Let's start with the simplest question. How bad are the Hornets actually? So we know the big picture. They went 19-63, and they haven't made the playoffs since 2016. They haven't won a playoff series since 2002, and they've never made the conference finals. They never even won a division title. That's already brutal, but what really matters is the LaMelo era, which is split between when he plays and when he doesn't. This year, LaMelo suited up for 47 games, and in those games, Charlotte went 16-31. That's not good, but it's at least bad NBA team territory. In the 35 games without him, they went 3-32. To put that in context, the 2012 Charlotte Bobcats hold the record for the worst season in the league history at 7-59, a shortened lockout year with the lowest win percentage ever. The 2025 Hornets without LaMelo Ball were worse than that by win percentage. So when people say LaMelo doesn't impact winning, that doesn't really match the reality. The numbers say with him, they're bad, but without him, they're historically unwatchable. The real concern is something else. LaMelo has played just 105 games across the last 3 seasons. That's Derrick Rose and Embiid levels of missed time. Fractured wrists, ankle sprains, and another fractured ankle, as well as calf injuries, minor surgeries, and constant shutdowns as soon as the season is clearly lost. If you're asking why the Hornets haven't been able to build something around him yet, the problem is simple. Their best player, and the only thing keeping them from being a 7-59 meme, is almost never on the floor. But injuries are only half of the story. The other half is the narrative that LaMelo is a losing player. This isn't just Twitter talk. Coaches, scouts, media people with real front office connections have been cold on him for years. ESPN had him ranked 63rd coming into the season, behind guys like Christian Braun and Jalen Suggs. He's never really been spoken about in the same tier as a Darius Garland, even though his raw production matches or beats it. So is that fair? Let's look at what he actually does on the court. To start this season, for the first 18 games, LaMelo averaged 31.1 points, 7 assists, and 5.4 rebounds. That's basically SGA MVP numbers on a team that defends like a rec league. On top of that, according to Crafted NBA, he ranked in the 99th percentile in open shots created for his teammates. He was also top 10 potential assists, meaning he's throwing dimes that should be assists if guys could hit shots. That's not stat padding, that's nobody around me can finish territory. But there are real flaws. He led the league in 3-point attempts per game, and while some of those are bombs, others are early clock contested, you just killed our whole possession type of shots. His floater game is elite, and he does get to that in-between area and score efficiently, but he doesn't pressure the rim enough. His free throw rate is too low for his usage. Instead of going through bigs, drawing fouls, and living at the line, he'll often settle for a tough jumper or floater. And defensively, at 6'7" with length, he could be at least above average. But instead, it's inconsistent effort, going under screens against shooters, while watching off the ball, and gambling for steals and leaving guys wide open. If you're a coach, you see both sides. This guy can be an engine of a top offense, but he also plays like he's trying to win a highlight reel, not a playoff series. The important thing, though, is this. You can fix shot selection, physicality, and defense with time and coaching. So the question isn't, is LaMelo good enough? It's, will he evolve from a fun star into the kind of guard who controls the game the way playoff winners do? Of course, even if LaMelo improves, he can't win by himself. And this is where the Hornets go from sad to actually offensive. This is a franchise that has been failing young stars for decades. They haven't made the playoffs since 2016, they haven't won a series since 2002, and have never made the conference finals, and once posted the worst record in NBA history. Under Michael Jordan's ownership, championship, the drafting track record is almost unbelievable. They got Adam Morris at 3, Michael Kidd at 2, Cody Zeller over Giannis and Gobert, Frank Kaminsky over Devin Booker, passing on Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, and more, as well as giving Nicholas Batum and Gordon Hayward massive long-term deals when the cap was lowered and they already lacked flexibility. That's the backdrop LaMelo walked into, and instead of just learning from that, the Hornets did it again and again in a new era. Since drafting LaMelo, they overpaid Gordon Hayward before LaMelo was even playing a game. 4 years, $120 million for an already declining wing. And in 2021, they took James Bouknight at 11 while Alperen Sengun went 16th and is now an all-star level big in Houston. In 2022, they draft Jalen Duren, a perfect vertical lob threat and a rim protector next to a pick and roll savant like LaMelo, and then immediately dump him for future picks in what is basically a salary move. In that same draft, they steal Mark Williams at 15 and trade him after he averages around 15 and 10 on 60% as a young center for the 29th pick and a future first. And for what? It's not like they're drowning in massive contracts. Outside of LaMelo's max, it's Miles Bridges, some solid rookie deals, and not a lot else. They're not jammed up like the Clippers or Warriors, they're just cheap, reluctant to pay good talent even when they barely have any. Add in Miles Bridges' situation with his domestic violence charges coming out as he and LaMelo were forming one of the most exciting young duos in the league, and you get a complete collapse of what little momentum they had. So when people say LaMelo hasn't won anything, you have to ask, how many players are capable of dragging this front office, this roster turn, and this history to real playoff success at a young age? This brings us to the part nobody can prove with stats. Does LaMelo really want to win at the highest level? You've seen this arc. Early Steph Curry, he had injuries, doubts, and people saying he's too small and fragile. And year 3, he plays 26 games and averages under 15 a night. Nobody's calling him a top 10 player ever. With Giannis, everyone said build a wall and he's done. He was just a regular season merchant who couldn't hit free throws and couldn't win in the playoffs. And then he drops 50 in a finals closeout and goes 17 for 19 at the line. What changed for those guys wasn't just their bodies, it was their priorities. They stopped caring about looks and aesthetics and leaned fully into the ugly stuff that wins series. Conditioning, physicality, defense, free throws, all these sacrifices. Yet with LaMelo, it's still unclear which side of that line he'll fall on. From the outside, he's always been framed as the goofy ball brother, the reality TV kid and the flashy passer with the weird shot form and loud clothes. It's easy to assume he doesn't take the grind seriously, but the people around him, the coaches, teammates, they consistently praise his work ethic. There's no evidence he's lazy, and the question is, what is the work aimed at? New head coach Charles Lee has already challenged him, adding strength to be able to take playoff level physicality every night, lock in defensively, and above all, be available. The organization tried to give him help. Veterans like Colin Sexton and Spencer Dinwiddie to take pressure off, Con Knipple, one of the most promising new rookies and the best shooter in college at number 4, and then Brandon Miller, who flashes all-star upside when he's right. Early returns this season looked incredible, around 28 and 10 on nearly 50% from the field and 42% from 3. These are real all-NBA numbers, but let's be honest, nobody cares about LaMelo's first 10 games anymore. What will define him is whether he can get a 65-game season, a playoff or play-in push, and real evidence that he's cleaned up the bad shots, attacked the rim more, and at least stopped being a liability on defense. Because that's the difference between a fun star on a terrible team and a franchise-changing player you build everything around. So why have the Charlotte Hornets failed in the LaMelo era despite having talent? It's a combination of injury luck that keeps their best player off of the court, a front office that refuses to fully invest, constantly mismanages his draft, and trades away the exact type of players LaMelo needs, and structural dysfunction from years of bad ownership, bad contracts, and half-hearted rebuilds, as well as a star who, as gifted as he is, still hasn't proven he can impose his will the way true playoff killers do, at the rim, on defense, and in must-win games. But there's one more layer to this. If LaMelo Ball had been drafted by the Spurs or Thunder or basically any stable organization, we'd probably be having a completely different conversation right now. Instead of debating whether he's a losing player, we'd probably be arguing about whether he's a top 15 guy on a perennial playoff team. Instead, he's in Charlotte on a 19-win roster. With trade rumors already starting and his own dad talking about wanting him on the Clippers, this is a crossroads. Either LaMelo stays healthy, tightens up the weak parts of his game, and forces the Hornets to finally act like a serious NBA franchise, or this era just becomes another sad chapter in Charlotte's history. The time they had an all-star guard and still couldn't do anything with him. LaMelo has already proven he has a talent. What he and the Hornets haven't proven is whether they can turn that into winning. And the longer this goes on, the more it feels like only one of them is going to get that chance. Will LaMelo Ball be remembered as the flashy kid who never figured it out, or as a star who finally broke the worst franchise in the league? Right now, the answer is still up in air. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and comment if you want more NBA stories just like this.